Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now today's episode, we are talking about business documentation. I know, it's a very thrilling topic, but don't worry, if you're going to play this game very aggressively, then this is going to be an actually pretty important topic to cover. So of course, we're going to talk about what kind of business bank accounts require business documentation and what can help you satisfy this requirement very easily. So if you want maximum value and to never miss out on a bonus, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, let me start off with this as a disclaimer. I'm not setting this up as a video necessarily to go through every single type of business documentation and like do an education on what is an LLC, an S Corp, and all that. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do here is specifically outline the thing that you need to get to make sure that you're eligible for all these business checking account offers. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you that I necessarily understand the ins and outs and intricacies of all these documents that we talk about, but we are going to focus on one specifically. So there you go. There's your disclaimer. So with that, what are we talking about? Now, we have a full business checking account 101 video that I can link down below for you. But, business accounts, obviously they're targeted at businesses. And more often than not, they want legit businesses, though they don't really mind when we come because we're still opening up a new account, right? And so, generally we get around these by we open as a sole proprietorship. What a sole proprietorship basically allows us to do is open the business with your name, first and last name as the company name. So if you ever had like a business credit card, it would say, RJ and then just RJ underneath it. So the name of the business, then my name, right? And that's normally fine. And that works for business accounts as well because it also allows us to use our social security number as the tax ID number versus an EIN, which would be like the official employer identification number that you would get, if you had a legitimate LLC, S Corp, something like that. 9 times out of 10, that works fine and there are no issues. But sometimes the bank can ask for, okay, give me proof that you're a business, right? And more often than not, in most states and most people I've talked to, again, I'm based in Michigan, so I can really only speak for a legitimate, knowing here. But I've talked to a lot of people around the country through the comments in both channels and what have you. And, more states, it's really, if you're going to do a sole proprietorship, there's not really any documentation required. You basically just say, okay, I'm a sole proprietor, and there it is. And it's fine. You can even look that up on your state website. Now, that's true most of the time. And if you look it up for your state, it's probably going to be true. Here's the thing, there's no real point, and you can try to, if you're talking to a banker most time in person, you can make that point to them, and you can even try to show them, but it arguably doesn't matter because of the golden rule. The one with the gold makes the rule, and so it's more so it could be the bank's policy that they require documentation to prove that you are a business, right? And so, once you make your case and they say, no, policy is policy, okay, well, that's it, right? So what do you do? Now, again, if you have an LLC or you have an S Corp or something like that, well, then you've got plenty of documentation. But those are, much more expensive to file. They come with, other requirements, potentially other responsibilities, other tax liabilities, things like that. And again, we're really just trying to fake this to get the money. So here's a quick story. Then we'll walk you through the document that I have, that I use, and then, I'll tell you how you could potentially get one from your state or your county. So for me, this started, I was doing a Flagstar business bonus, so I phoned in just to make sure I could come in and do it because you have to do it in branch, and that's usually where you run into the most issues. Accounts where you have to go in branch to open them, right? So they were like, yeah, do you have, business documentation? I'm like, no, it's a sole proprietorship. And they were like, well, no, you need some form of documentation. Now, they're usually pretty reserved and not really going to tell you what exactly you need to do it. They kind of want to stay away from recommendations or things like that. So I goes, okay, fine. The bonus was like deposit $5,000 to get 590 days, which is a significant amount of money and a very low threshold in this game given business bonuses. So, I was like, all right, fine. I don't want to let this one go. What do I actually need? So I looked around the internet, and what you need is, the simplest way that I found to do it is to get a DBA. DBA means doing business as. So like, if I was RJ, but doing business as Run on the Bank, right? The name of this channel, or doing business as RJ Financial, my other channel. That's basically what it says. It says, hey, this person is doing business under this name, and it gets filed with, the state or the county. Now, again, I have an official LLC for both channels, right? But, again, LLCs, it's not that much money to file. It's like $50 to file it with the state, at least here. So not that big of a deal, but again, it can come with other stuff. So really what I wanted to do was find the easiest way around it. So you can actually get a DBA on the county level, right? The individual county that you live in. because you're going to use your home address for the business address more often than not. So what I did, I'm going to put this on screen here, but this is the exact document I got. So this is, again, Washtenaw County. That's where I live. Certificate of assumed name. Well, again, certificate of assumed name. I thought it was DBA, but close enough. Same thing. So anyways, what you do is you go down to your county office, right? You can see the address of the county right there, and you can see a filing fee of $10. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down the county. Well, you can fill this out beforehand. Now, what I did learn was, because again, I was always doing this as sole proprietor, so I originally filled it out as just my name, but they were like, no, you can't use your name because it's assumed name. So I think on my official one, I put RJ Financial as the channel name, because this is before I had the second channel. And then all my information was the same, your name, resident address, where you live, sign it, that whole deal. And if you go to the bottom, they simply just stamp it and they stamp it, makes it official. They can give it a day or two, and they put it on record with the county, and you're good to go, just like that. So overall, I went early in the morning as soon as they open, because you never know how local government's going to go. But again, $10 to get this form. I don't know, $2, $3 to park, and maybe 30 minutes of my time. Now, the only reason it took a while is because, I was telling them, they were asking me what I was going to do. They were trying to be nice to make sure I was filing the right thing. And I was telling them why I needed it. And they're like, well, you don't really need this form. I was like, I know, I agree with you, because if you go to our state website, it says to do sole proprietorship, you don't need this. But I need to take this form down the street to Flagstar, and they'll give me $500. So they shrugged and was like, all right, if you're going to give us $10, fine, we'll stamp it, and there you go. And that's really it. This has satisfied every business account that I've needed. It's satisfied Flagstar business, City business, BMO business, Live Oak business, and maybe one or two others. But you can see, again, out of the amount of accounts we open, more often than not, they don't really ask for this. But it's something that I keep on my phone, and I can quickly email it to them if I'm in branch, and say, okay, it satisfies it. Now, what they're going to do is either in branch or the back office, they're going to basically look it up, right, to make sure that this is legit, even though it's stamped, but to make sure it's filed with the county. So what happened to me when I was at BMO, I sent it to the guy, and then instinctively they normally think it's filed with the state, but then so he's trying to look it up on the computer, because if he can look it up in his office and verify it, we can keep going. If not, he has to wait and call me back. So you got to remind him that yours is actually filed with the county if you choose to go this route and not the state. So he pulled it up, and sure enough, my form is right there, because it's good for 5 years, which is plenty of time, given $10, right? And then he's, okay, I verified it, you're good to go. So that is what you need, at least here. I haven't seen it not work anywhere else. I've talked to John, the godfather of this game, from Bank Account Bonus Central. He's told me a similar story of him doing this. He lives in Texas. The Texas version of this form for business accounts down there. So it's annoying. Yes, you're correct. You don't need it to do a sole proprietorship. But again, the golden rule: one with the gold makes the rule, and that's their policy. That's their policy. Now, overall, last thoughts here. I would say this: if you're the kind of person who would be fine saying, hey, you know what, I can't get all these business accounts potentially, then it's probably not that big of a deal, honestly. But if you look at it like, I want every single dollar I can get, and it would annoy me, like it would have annoyed me to miss out on this Flagstar offer over this, then it's worth getting, right? Yeah, it's annoying. It's probably going to take you 30 minutes, depending on how close to the county you live. You'll pay for parking, whatever. But I think it's worth it, considering it's $10 and the amount of money you can make from this. Well, yours might not be $10, but you get the point, right? Mine was $10. It will make the money will make itself back, no problem. So for that reason, if you're going to be playing to a mid to an ultra aggressive level, I say take the time and get one, because then you won't run into this issue anymore. Now, really quick here, I haven't seen this come up on credit cards before, but it could potentially if you're trying to get some credit cards with some of these smaller banks, maybe business cards at least. But I haven't seen it come up at U.S. Bank, Chase. Huntington wanted one, I think, but since I got to open the checking account without one online, they didn't ask for one. But basically, yeah, anytime they ask, I'm like, here you go, let's just make this happen. So overall, that is business documentation 101. Certificate of assumed name, DBA. Fill it out, keep it on you, good for 5 years, or check your state requirements. But that should get you where you need to go to access to all these business accounts. So anyways, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. Of course, if you find it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. So we're posting content just like this every week on how to make banks money become your money. Again, question for you guys: guys is let me know how you attack your business applications when there's documentation required. Do you use your legitimate LLC? Or do you have one of these? Or do you just pass because it's not worth the hassle? Or will you look into getting one of these? I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Of course, hope it helps. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.